So, part of the most important part of drafting a scientific argument is really the reasoning. So far, we've been looking at pieces of evidence to answer a question about the natural world, and you've had two different claims. One claim was that flowing water created the channel that we've been looking at on Mars, and the other claim was that flowing lava is what created the channel on Mars. And then you looked at several pieces of evidence to back up your claim. I'm not going to tell you which claim is right. You're trying to draft an argument based off of which claim you think is correct. Part of the most important part of that argument, though, is this reasoning factor of explaining why you think your claim is correct. The why behind a scientific argument is possibly the most important part of any argument. I'll give you an example. This has to do, the example that I'm looking at has to do with Coca-Cola. So take a question, how does drinking cola affect your health? And say you make the claim that drinking cola is bad for your health. If you just give the evidence that you see here on the slide that cola contains a caramel and coloring ingredient called formel. Okay, well, that's some evidence as to why it could be bad for your health, but it doesn't explain why. So what I want you to do, and I'll show you a picture in the next part of your Google form lesson, is create a reasoning tool in your notebook. So part of it is going to be, it's really just a chart. You're going to create a chart that has evidence, the why does this evidence matter, and then a therefore column. So if we're going to use the cola example, which you're not going to be doing, you're going to be doing this with the channel on Mars and what created it. That's what we're looking at, but this is just an example. Say you put your evidence here, cola contains formol. That was a piece of evidence that we just talked about. What your important part here of today's lesson is figuring out this, why does that evidence matter? And then the therefore really is essentially just restating the claim. The claim that we were looking at in this example was drinking cola is bad for your health. So if you just say that drinking cola is bad for your health because it contains formol, yeah, maybe someone who knows what that is would say, okay, that makes sense, that I understand that. But what your missing piece of that argument is that formol is a food coloring that caused cancer in lab rats. Many things that are bad for lab rats are usually bad for other living things like humans. That to me now makes sense. Okay, I understand that formol would make cola bad for your health. So this is the key component that we're coming up with today as to what makes a scientific argument really, really sound. So take a second to just read through these. I'll read them out loud as well. And think about which argument is more sound. Which one makes more sense? Argument 1 says drinking cola is bad for your health. Cola contains a caramel coloring ingredient called formol. Avoid drinking cola in order to stay healthy. Okay. Argument 2 says drinking cola is bad for your health. Cola contains formol, which is a caramel coloring ingredient that has caused cancer in lab rats. Many things that are bad for rats are usually bad for other living things, such as humans. Therefore, drinking cola is harmful for the health of humans. Which one do you think is the better argument? Argument 2 is the only one that gives you the explanation behind why the evidence supports the claim. The claim was that cola is bad for your health. This one actually gives you reasoning as to why that evidence supports the claim. So that one is the better argument. So what I want you to do, and you can pause the video here and just set up the next page of your science notebook to look similar to this. And then I will also post a picture of what your science notebook should look like. But we're doing the same thing of filling out a chart, giving you the claim. This one is just saying, if you think that flowing lava is correct, then you're going to be drafting this a little differently. But this is for someone who thinks that flowing water formed the channel on Mars. So say that that's the claim that you picked, for example. The claim will always go in this column over here. The evidence cards that you looked at before will go over here. And then you also have those on your the last page of your science notebook on your evidence gradient. But this middle part of trying to figure out why does that matter, that's what you're going to be drafting today to help you actually type out a scientific argument. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, either email or text message me, and you'll have my email and my number both in this lesson as well.